is the first step, so that you do kind of get half an idea. Billy travels around the country doing cross-cultural awareness to try and help people just to have a little bit of confidence, even to say, you know, Indigenous or Aboriginal, or, you know, all of these little idiosyncrasies. And nothing's wrong. It's just, you know, maybe just a spirit of humility and saying, hey, what do you prefer, you know, when I'm talking about your culture, or, you know, it's not easy. And you could, in one situation, could go really well, the next one wouldn't. So, yeah, I apologise. I apologise, you know, for all of the pain and suffering that's happened, because, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's wrecked it.
So this is a healing place, and one of the parts that we've noticed about you is your healing of the land, the call to kind of be involved there. You want to talk about how that emerged and what you're seeing change in this environment?
Yeah, for sure. So this was pretty much, I don't even remember it being green when we first got here, this patch. And we inherited 24 ducks from town. Someone was going to get evicted, and so we said, bring them out. So we got a heap of this temporary fencing, and we pretty much made a big duck, we called it duckatraz, right around the spiral shape. And we kept the ducks here, and yeah, the lady would come out and feed them, and yeah, it was a nice relationship. And pretty much then we got chickens, and we let them all scratch around here for 6 months, which is a permaculture principle, just to get the ground ready. And then I laid out a garden hose, and Aboriginal people don't think time is linear, they think it's spiral. And you know, that feeling like you've gone back to the same situation and you think, oh, I'm back here again. Well, it would just, they would think it's deeper, so you've gone back again to revisit something. So we wanted to incorporate that. It's 170 metres in garden beds, and because they're all close, you can be talking to other people in the community, and that's also a permaculture principle where you, you know, community care for the earth is really important. So, you know, I think your environment's really important, and food, you know, food's important. So, yeah, I was kind of born out of that. And then we had to make the soil, and we're sort of bordering on soil. You know, we made dirt, and now we're trying to get some life into it. So that's kind of where we started with this garden, and then we did the same across the road, across the driveway for a bush tucker. And that's really important, because a lot of people who come know about bush tucker, but you know, this area might have had, you know, half a dozen species. But the country's got thousands, so we try and bring things from all over the country so that people can, you know, taste it and see, and also feel a bit confident that they know a little bit about bush tucker and they can recognise it if they're walking through the bush. So it's an empowering thing, you know, trying to help people to regain what was lost. Yeah, and then broader out is our where we keep our animals, and it was farmed, you know, for hay, and never really looked after properly. So we're just trying to use animals rotationally, moving them and watching the ground, ploughing it with a special yeoman's plough to make sure we don't disturb any life that's already in the soil, and just studying soil and microbiology. So going to start putting biology into the soil, inoculate it in different places to try and inoculate the water of the animals so that it goes through their intestines and into the ground. So yeah, probably another 20 years work, but yeah, we've definitely, you know, in the 10 years we've come a long way, but and I have a very critical eye, not because I'm not really thankful for what we have, but I'm just always wanting the plants to be happier, and so I'm always sort of watching to see, you know, I might notice something and I think, yeah, that's not quite right, and then we'll work out what the next step is to make sure that plant shows us that the ground is healthy.
And how do you see that? It's your focus is on the land, but it's also involving the whole system, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So how does it impact you guys as a community to be doing this kind of work together?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that we'd come here after the trauma that happened to the whole community, and so it was a safe place. It was a place that we could shut the gate, and we were really aware that we would hurt people if we engaged too much with anyone. So we kind of hid away a little bit, and someone rebuked us, and then God gave them the scripture, about to keep to yourself, and we've done that. We talk to people, we tell them what we're doing, but we don't overcommit. And the land is healing, and the community is healing, and we've both come a really long way. I think, Billy says, most of our pain will come through people, and most of our healing will come through people. And I think just having that small group, and then gradually letting safe people in, has really helped us to restore our faith in humankind. And so definitely we can still see in the community, like the land, there's still some things that are like, yeah, that's a bit raw, or that's not quite right. But just like we're patient with the ground, we're also patient with each other, and we know that, some wounds are hard to heal. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you're passionate to tell us about, or to share a message of, that I missed in those questions? Actually, I will get you to describe, this one's a bit more technical, but it's describing what's the difference between, because you did this with the others, I wasn't there,
Yes.
dirt and soil.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Yes.
so you talk about, when you first start somewhere and you look at the ground and you want to do something, it's got dirt.
Yes.
So how does it become soil, and what's the difference there?
Yes. So dirt is sand, silt and clay, and then if you added in organic organisms and organic matter, and that becomes soil. So we got manure and straw from the sale yard, and we brought it down and we put it in a pile, and we turned it maybe after 6 months or a year. So we didn't do anything really special. So that composted down, but it didn't have the microbiology in it that we really need for the garden. So the next step is making like a biocomplete compost, where we're making maybe a cubic metre of compost, but looking under a microscope, we're going to make sure we've got fungi, bacteria, and all of the different predators that the plants actually need, because it's called the poop loop, and the plants send out an exudate which brings the predator in, which eats the bacteria and fungi and poop out what the plant needs. So it's kind of this own little soil food web. So we got to make all of the conditions just right, and inoculate. Maybe when we plant seedlings, it'll have inoculated soil, or I'll make a tea to make sure all the critters are in the tea, and then start tipping it on plants to make sure, they take it through their cells. And so pretty much dirt is dead and soil is alive. Yeah.
But you got to get involved to actually make the difference.
Yes, yes. And it's quite a technical process and quite structured. So, it's a science.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That will be something I need to learn more about. Maybe, do you want to do any wandering, or have you got